Hello, Archie Dunlop here with Talking Astrology with Archie. In this video, I want to look at the weekend of December the 30th and December the 31st, 2023. In other words, I'm looking at the last 2 days of December, or the last 2 days of 2023, however you want to look at it. My main theme in this video is going to be January 2024. I want to do a brief preview of this month, just looking at what I see as being the major events. Now, as far as the picture on this video is concerned, it is of the Roman god Janus, and January is named after the god Janus. Janus has two faces. And Janus is the god of beginnings and turning points. Those two faces, I suppose, represent looking forward and looking backwards. And I suppose that's what we often do in January, particularly the beginning of January. But before I talk about January 2024, I want to look at this weekend, the weekend of December the 30th and 31st, 2023, and from the perspective of both astrology and the I Ching. So this is the chart for the weekend. I've set the chart for midnight on Sunday, December the 31st, so it's kind of the midpoint of the weekend. There you can see top right, that is a picture of a statue of the Roman god Janus. So what is the main thing going on? Well, probably the main thing going on is Jupiter going stationary direct. This is quite an important event. Last few months, Jupiter has been going backwards. And now it comes to a standstill. And, okay, we might not feel it exactly this weekend, but it's certainly going to be an important feature of the month ahead. So some of us might feel that things have changed, that we can start being more positive, start being more optimistic. Maybe some of our optimism has been put on hold. So we do need to consider that. But overall, I think Jupiter going stationary direct is a good thing. It may allow some of us to put our plans, back on the rails after a period of delay. So the weekend, Saturday, is probably going to be different to Sunday. You can see that at the midpoint of the weekend, the very beginning of Sunday, you can see that the moon is at 26 Leo. So really, on Saturday, the moon is in Leo. Sunday, we're going to have more of a moon in Virgo feel about it. And, Leo and Virgo are very different signs. So, for example, on Saturday, we've got moon in Leo trine Mars in Sagittarius. So Saturday could be quite a vibrant day. Moon's actually not just trining Mars in Sagittarius, it's actually trining Mercury in Sagittarius as well. So there's a lot of activity. If you're going to a party on Saturday night, or you should have quite a good time. There's lots going on. So that's certainly something to look forward to, perhaps. I should also point out that the moon is making a square to Uranus on Saturday. So there may be times on Saturday where things get a bit too much. People may be a little too keen to express their opinions. There may be a certain amount of emotional instability, people being stubborn. But I don't think it's a big deal. I think we should really focus on the fact, yes, that the moon is making that trine to Mercury and Venus. Now, as you move into Sunday, the moon going into Virgo, things change. Now, to be precise about that sign change, it kind of depends where you are. If you're in London, then the moon moves into Virgo at 11:53 a.m. So just before lunch. If you're in New York, 6:56 a.m. If you're in Los Angeles, then that would be, 3:56 a.m. So certainly for Western Europe and the Americas, for a big chunk of the day, the moon is in Virgo. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, then the moon is not going to move into Virgo until the evening. So bear that in mind. And so when the moon moves into Virgo, okay, there's a change. Virgo is more focused on details. All things being equal, moon in Virgo is not quite as exciting as moon in Leo, because it's just too focused on material stuff. And the moment the moon moves into Virgo, it starts making an opposition aspect to Saturn. So we have that straight away, and that is going to really pour cold water on things. It's going to be difficult to enjoy oneself, because one's going to be too self-conscious. Now, it's not the end of the world, because the moon having made that opposition to Saturn, starts to make a trine aspect to Jupiter, and I think particularly if you're in the Americas, you might feel that changeover over Sunday. So if you're in the Americas, it might be a kind of Sunday where it sort of starts off quite downbeat, and seems to become more and more downbeat as the moon, as the opposition to Saturn starts to come to exactitude. But then you start to feel the lift of the moon trine Jupiter, and so I think that could be quite constructive. And I suppose that kind of has relevance to the New Year's Eve celebrations. I think, I don't know what kind of New Year's Eve celebrations you're having, if you are having New Year's Eve celebrations. But I would have thought New Year's Eve celebrations this year, yes, we've got the moon trine Jupiter, depending on where you are, but they could be quite muted in a way. Particularly in Western Europe, Asia, and New Zealand, the Americas. So I think really Sunday is kind of a day for organization. I don't think it may be New Year's Eve, but it's the best way to use Sunday is to prepare for 2024. I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't go for wild parties or anything, because I think most of us are possibly going to be unlikely to enjoy ourselves too much, because perhaps we will be distracted. There is one midpoint that I wanted to mention, and that is the fact that Uranus is aspecting. There's Uranus. Uranus is aspecting the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint. So there's Jupiter, there's Saturn. So the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint is around 4 Aries. And so Uranus is semi-square the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint. And I suppose that's going to be about, everything's going to be a bit stop-go. You know, when you've got a Jupiter-Saturn midpoint, it is stop-go, and there are going to be people who are desperately going to be trying to force a pace. You know, it's like something that finds it difficult to maintain itself, but we try to keep it going. And maybe that's how a New Year's Eve party is going to work out. You know, it's going to be somewhat stop-go, because, you know, the moon is going to be opposition Saturn, but it's going to be trine Jupiter, and we've got Uranus on the Jupiter-Saturn midpoint. And we shouldn't forget that the Jupiter-Saturn pair is connected with the economy, with the business cycle, and I think many of us are going to be really thinking about it. And certainly people in power are going to be thinking about it over the New Year's Eve, New Year weekend. So maybe a good way of spending a weekend is to be reading reports about the global economy. I know that might sound really boring, but you might find you might find that something piques your interest. You might think, wow, is that true? That's amazing, that's terrible, whatever. And so you might have some ideas about the global economy. So, you know, it might, I know that perhaps doesn't sound what you were planning on doing over the weekend, but maybe you should give it a go. Okay, so that's the overall picture for the weekend. And so what I want to do now is I want to go through the 12 signs and do my forecasts for the weekend of December the 30th and December the 31st, 2023. Aries. Overall, Aries, I think that Saturday is going to be a better day than Sunday. On Saturday, you are going to have a lot of energy. This is because, you know, there is a trine between the moon in Leo and Mars in Sagittarius. Remember, Mars is your ruling planet. And those are two fire signs. And the other fire sign is, of course, Aries. So Aries, your star sign, is directly impacted by this moon's aspect between Mercury and Mars. So you're going to be very energized on Saturday. You're going to have a lot to say. You're going to have a lot of ideas, and you may be quite impulsive, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think that you know, the world needs people like you to create excitement. But as you move into Sunday, things do start to change. You may feel that you kind of lost your spark. At least that's one way of looking at it. But really, you're starting to be more realistic. You're starting to realize that there are things to be done, and you know, if people want action, it shouldn't all be down to you. Let other people do the work. As far as you're concerned, yeah, there are things that need to be prepared, and that's down to you to, you know, that's down to you to sort it out, and you're not going to want other people interfering. Yeah, it may be a little boring, but Aries, you know, you can't have excitement all the time. So just get that balance right and work out what needs to be done, and go and do it. Taurus. Saturday should be a reasonably good day. provided you get your priorities right. There are certain places you're going to be on good form, and there are other places where you're going to be on terrible form. And I think you're going to be on best form when you're in places that you feel comfortable in. That might be your own home, or in places that you're very familiar with. If you stray, if you stray into unfamiliar territory, then things could start to go wrong. As you move into Sunday, in some respects, you do become a little more adventurous. But if you are going to engage in adventures, you do need to get your planning right. All the details have to be sorted out. And from a creative perspective, if you want to do something special for yourself on Sunday, don't listen too hard to other people, particularly your friends. They've got their ideas, but you've got your ideas, and your ideas are the ideas that matter. So on Sunday, it's okay to be selfish. Gemini, consider the people around you, the people close to you. Consider how they might be changing, because you might find that someone you know very well, perhaps a partner, close friend. When I say partner, it could be in terms of business, romance, whatever, may have been indecisive about something. They may have found it very difficult to make up their mind. But things are changing. They are beginning to understand what's going on, and they are able to make a decision. And that could be important. That could have a bearing on your own life and happiness. I don't mean in a negative way, by the way. This is not a miserable thing. This is something that is fortunate. Now, as far as the fun and games of the festive season, New Year's Eve, all of that kind of thing, it's likely that there are going to be more opportunities for enjoyment and for having fun and for having a good time on Saturday rather than on Sunday. Saturday looks like being a pretty good day for Geminis, especially as the moon moving through sort of the communication sector of your solar chart is making a trine to Mercury. Mercury is, of course, your ruling planet. So there's a bit of a buzz going on Saturday. Lots of interesting people to talk to, that kind of thing. So Saturday parties, Saturday long phone calls, long exciting phone calls. Is that possible? I think for a Gemini it is actually possible. So Saturday looks a good day. Moving into Sunday, things do start to change. The excitement does start to drain. Now, I've said this in general for everyone, but I think it particularly has an impact on Gemini. You're going to be more focused on your home environment. You're going to be more insular, and if you have to deal with other people, you may find that they're increasingly annoying. Though I should say that some Geminis may have an extra responsibility on Sunday. If you're working, or particularly if you're working in a situation where where everyone is depending on you, or if you're self-employed or you're running your own business, then you might find that on Sunday there are responsibilities that really have to be dealt with on Sunday. So, and that might be very disruptive, but really there might not be a choice. So overall, Gemini, I think Saturday looks like a better day than Sunday. Cancer. On Saturday, you're quite active. After all, the moon, which is your ruler, is making a trine aspects to Mercury and Mars. You're going to you will have a fair amount to say, but part of this action may have a financial basis. So I don't know. What you don't want to do on Saturday is go on a shopping spree. I mean, I know that most Cancerians are sensible people and they look after their money, but I suppose there are a few Cancerians that may be tempted to splash out, going on a shopping spree, just spending money and not really realizing how you're spending that money. So be wary of that. But for most Cancerians, yes, there could be a financial emphasis in terms of money, but I think you're going to want to put your energy into dealing with money rather than spending money, considering your money, considering other people's money, considering how they're spending your money and that kind of thing. So, okay, it might sound a bit tedious having to deal with money, but I think it'll be fine. I think you'll know what to do, and you'll be able to arrange things properly. Yeah, but of course, just if you're that small minority of Cancerians who lose themselves while shopping, then be careful. Now, as far as Sunday is concerned, you do have a bit of caution might be required. This is because the moon, your ruler, is making an opposition aspect to Saturn, and Saturn in the Cancerian chart can be about relationships, partnerships. It may be that there's one particular person on Sunday who causes trouble, who just makes your life almost a misery. So you do need to look after yourself on Sunday, and you have to make sure that you protect your own boundaries. Also, you kind of have a choice on Sunday, because the moon makes two aspects. The first aspect it makes is an opposition to Saturn. Then it starts making a trine aspect to Jupiter. So you want to focus on moon trine Jupiter. Moon trine Jupiter is very fortunate for you. Moon is your ruler. Jupiter is a planet of good luck. You want to focus on that. So really, if you want to have a great Sunday, then avoid one-to-one partnerships of all kinds. So if there's that one person in your life, that one special person in your life, whatever, stay out of their way on Sunday, or make sure they stay out of your way. Focus on other things. So if you avoid relationships of all kinds, then you could have a good Sunday. But if you spend too much time with one person, you could have a miserable Sunday. I know that sounds a bit dramatic. I'm probably exaggerating. Leo. Not surprisingly, Saturday will be a better day than Sunday. It has to be. That's because Saturday, we have the moon moving through your star sign. The moon moving through your star sign, making fortunate aspects to both Mercury and Mars. So Saturday, you can be the life and soul of the party. You can get a lot of attention, and you can feel, just to feel a sense of warmth and glow. So you can be creative. You can have fun with other people. It's all looking good, and you might feel that things are looking good for New Year's Eve, but I don't think that's true. So really celebrate your New Year's Eve on the 30th, on the Saturday, rather than on the 31st. As you move into, as you're moving into Sunday, you start to lose that, the energy of, Moon trine Mars in fire signs. You start to lose that, and you start to get bogged down in detail. Money starts becoming important. You're wondering how much you're spending, all that kind of stuff. And the people you're dealing with may become complicated. Perhaps you're dealing with other people's money. You're worrying about, there are a lot of worries and so forth. I mean, worries of probably of a pretty trivial nature, but I think it's going to be quite difficult to relax. And, New Year's Eve parties, you could, are you going to enjoy yourself? I'm not convinced. But, it's the same for a lot of people, so you shouldn't feel that you are being uniquely singled out. Virgo. It is rather a mixed picture, because on Saturday you are going to enjoy your own company. You're not really going to want to spend too much time mixing with other people. Indeed, you can do stuff on your own, or perhaps with some of the people close to you, and you can have a quietly good time, and you can be very constructive and happy. But you're not good. But if you go out into the world, you're going to feel, that you're a bit detached, and that you can't really get into the swing of things. Now, as you move into Sunday, in one sense, things start to improve because the moon is moving into your star sign, Virgo. So with the moon in Virgo, you are the center of things. You know what's going on. You can relate to the world. The world makes sense to you. Yet, the moon, as soon as it moves into Virgo, it makes an opposition with Saturn. And that means that there are situations out there that could really drag you down, could bring you to a halt, which would be a shame because you're actually in a strong position. You should be in a strong position, but outside events could weaken you. So what you have to do is you have to work out what those outside events are. You have to work out where are the problems. It could be particular people. Think about it. Which people could spoil your fun on Sunday? Which situations haven't worked out in the past? So you need to carefully avoid them. If you can do that, Sunday should be an okay day. It might even be better than Saturday, but you are going to have to be very careful there. Libra. Libra. It's the same picture for a lot of other people. That, as I keep saying, Saturday is going to be a better day than Sunday. Saturday is a great day for socializing. It's a great day for meeting with your friends. You might find that one particular person can provide real excitement for you. There's one person out there who can really make your day, and that might be in terms of relationships. partners are going to be on good form on Saturday. They're going to yeah, they can provide you with excitement and whatever else you want. And so that should be a good Saturday. But as you move into Sunday, things start to quieten down. You're going to start to appreciate the value and importance of your own company. So that's something that Librans do need to consider. I should also mention that Venus, your ruler, has moved into Sagittarius, where it is in mutual reception to Jupiter, and that is really good. But Venus is actually moving towards a square aspect to Saturn, and as through Sunday, you may actually start to feel that. Venus, you may feel that there's sort of a hurdle coming up on the horizon. It may be you just feel that you're not on great form. That might just bother you. You might feel that you're not on best form, and certainly for Sunday, if you're towards the end of the day on Sunday, you might really start to feel that. So don't feel on Sunday that don't feel obliged. Don't feel obliged to do anything. Don't even feel obliged to keep your promises. Okay, within reason, some promises have to be kept. But if you've made a promise, sort of a verbal promise, but on Sunday you don't really feel like honouring that promise, then it might be okay to just make your apologies. Scorpio. It might be a good idea if you start the weekend by focusing on things that have to be done. This is particularly the case if you're working over the weekend, or even if you're not working on the weekend. On Saturday, you can do stuff which is of material significance, which can help you in a career and financial sense. So consider that. Consider what possibilities there might be on Saturday for making, for perhaps focusing on money. I mean, after all, the moon is in your solar 10th house, relating to career and business, and it's making a trine to Mars, your ruling planet, and Mars is in your second house, which is connected with money. And so there are actually things you can do on Saturday that can actually stabilize the situation, and which can set yourself up nice, so you can set yourself up nicely for the new year. So consider that possibility. As far as Sunday is concerned, I don't think that there's so much pressure in a sort of career money sense. I think you can focus more on sort of relaxation, entertainment, that kind of thing. For a lot of the signs, I've been quite negative about the prospects for New Year's Eve. I think in your case, it's not a problem really. I think on Sunday you are quite sociable. You can mix with people. You can control people. I think you can deal with whatever social challenges there might be on Sunday. I think you can do that. You can do that quite effectively. And I mean, I think the key to having a great Sunday is to have great communication. tell people what you want, tell people what you think. If someone's doing something you don't approve of, just tell them straight away, and you'll be able to take control of the situation. Sagittarius. Well, the big thing going on this weekend is the fact that Jupiter, your ruling planet, which has been going retrograde for months, is now coming to a standstill, going stationary direct. And this is good news. It means that perhaps that some of your wilder plans, some of your more optimistic plans, which have been on hold, for months, you can start to put them, make them, you can start to put them back on the right track. So it's okay to be optimistic, and you may start to see, when you look at 2024, you can start to think about what you can do and what you can achieve. So that's certainly good news for this weekend. It's not just good news for this weekend, it's good news really for the next few months, the beginning of 2024. You can really move forward with a lot of things. On a more sort of short-term level, on Saturday, there's certainly a lot of excitement. The moon is going through a very inspirational sector of your chart. New ideas, new concepts, new people. You can perhaps consider new ways of looking at the world, new ways of relating to the world, and your ideas are kind of a bit fluid. You don't have to make commitments. You can think about this idea, that idea, and so forth. Then on Sunday, there's greater clarity. You can't just focus on lots of different things. You have to focus on perhaps one or two things. And it does seem that for many Sagittarians, there is something you have to do on Sunday. It does require you to engage with the outside world, but in a more concentrated way. And it might be connected with career or business, how you move forward in life, and in the process you're going to become aware that there is a certain challenge that you have to go through, and that relates to how you balance the way you want to move forward with the pressures of family and things like that. I mean, that has been an on and off an issue actually for most of 2023. How do you deal with the demands of family? They want you to do things, but there are things you want to do. There are things that you need to do. So consider that. Consider what these things are that you need to do, and how you can deal with your family, and how you can explain to them that you have your priorities, and your priorities have to be respected. So that may be a bit of a challenge for you on Sunday. Sunday is certainly going to be a less exciting day than Saturday, but it might actually be a more useful day. Capricorn. I've been quite negative about a lot of people's Sundays, but I think your Sunday, your New Year's Eve, Capricorn, should be pretty good. I think in some respects you can be more expansive. You can be clearer about what you want, and at the same time on Sunday, it's a good time to consider new ideas, because I know, Capricorn, you have your own way of doing things, and you're usually very good doing things in your own way. But you do need to consider the possibility that you've been a bit too narrow in your focus. And so on Sunday, you perhaps can do some thinking, reading, studying, talking. Talk to people who have a different view from you, different opinions. And if you're open-minded, there can be some important revelations. The penny might drop. You might think, oh, it's not like that, it's like this. But in order to do that, you do have to have a lot of respect for the people you're dealing with. Respect is going to be really important. I know I'm focusing on Sunday. I'm not going to really talk about Saturday here, but Sunday is about respect, and you've got to respect certain people who've got important stuff to tell you and important stuff to teach you. So that's how you need to deal with Sunday, and you really must resist the temptation on Sunday for putting people down, making people feel small. That is not the right way to treat New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is a time for, it's a time for expanding your horizons, for getting down to the details of what needs to be done to give yourself the best chance of being successful in 2024. So yes, Capricorn, you're a materialistic sign, all things being equal, and there are things you can do in a sort of materialistic sense, but that does require that does require you to listen to other people and not think that you've got all the answers. Aquarius. On Saturday, the moon continues moving through Leo, your opposite sign. So I think relationships are going to be important. There are people to deal with, and it's not just a matter of obligation. I think you can enjoy other people's company. You can let other people do the entertaining. Yeah, there are people out there who are quite happy to entertain you if you give them a chance. So I do think that Saturday could be a fun day, provided you're not too uptight. Just don't feel that you have to make the decisions. Just let other people make the decisions within reason, of course. So let other people make the decisions. Let them make the choices. Be entertained, and in that way you may get a chance to really use your talents and show your talents. But when you're showing your talents, you're not doing it out of ego. You're just doing it. You're doing it to make the world a better place. Unfortunately, Sunday is not such a good day. Sunday. As you progress through Sunday, I think there's a chance that you're going to be maybe even brooding a bit. You're going to be sort of introspective. You're going to be asking yourself perhaps existential questions. What is the point of this? If you're going to a New Year's Eve party, you might suddenly find yourself looking at all the details and wondering, what are people doing? Why is this day special? Why are people wasting their time? But you've got better things to do. So bear that in mind, and it might be best to have a fairly quiet New Year. I mean, not least with the fact that you might just feel that your boundaries are being I won't say threatened. I don't mean that, but your space is going to be very important to you on Sunday, and so if your space is important to you, then New Year's Eve parties, celebrations, all that kind of stuff is probably not for you. Pisces. Is it going to be a good weekend? I think it can be a good weekend provided you go about things in the right way. On Saturday, you're going to feel that you do have to get the details right. There are things that need to be sorted out. There are probably things that you've been trying to sort out for a long time, and it has been hard work. And Saturday might feel the time when you can actually get things together, you might get a sudden sort of blast of energy on Saturday where you can just clear everything out, get the details right. Maybe if there have been sort of calculations that haven't made sense, you can suddenly make the connections. And so Saturday could be a great day provided you're not disturbed. Okay, you can be disturbed by people who are constructive, but you don't really need any. You don't need any disturbances really on Saturday. You know what you need to do on Saturday, so just go and do it. And this is actually a great time to sort of sort out the chaos. You know, chaos is always something that every Pisces is afraid of chaos. And so Saturday is a time for sort of clearing everything up and putting yourself in a great position for 2024. Sunday, there are people that have to be dealt with, and I say dealt with. You can't get away from them, but you don't want them to mess things up for you. People can be annoying on Sunday, but they can't be avoided. So that's something you have to bear in mind, and you have to ask yourself, why might certain people be annoying? Now, it may be because you are too stuck in your ways. Now, I know that normally Pisceans are not known for being stuck in their ways, because Pisces is quite a flexible sign. But at the moment, since the beginning of 2023, Saturn has been moving through your star sign, and so you might feel that people are just annoying you, and they could be annoying and just not very constructive. But at the same time, the right person could be really good for you, but it's got to be the absolute right person on Sunday. Not just anyone. There's one person who could be really useful, Pisces, and you have to make the right choices. So, in terms of your social life on Sunday, there are probably going to be two choices: the right choice and the wrong choice. Maybe it's one group of people or another group of people. One group of people can elevate you. Another group of people can grind you down. So do make your choices and think about it. Don't just go with the flow. Do some analysis and work out what needs to be done and how to plan your social life if you are planning on socializing, if you want to celebrate the new year. Okay, so that's the astrology for the weekend. So what I want to do now is turn to the I Ching. Now, something strange has happened with the I Ching. What has happened is that yesterday I cast the I Ching. I cast the I Ching for Friday. That would have been Friday the 29th. And so what happened was that I got these two hexagrams. The first hexagram was shock, if you were watching, and the second hexagram was progress. So that's what I got on Friday. So for this weekend, I asked the question, what is the weekend going to be like for those watching this video? I threw the coins. what did I get? I got the same thing. So let me just show you what I got. I got that, which was shock, which I got yesterday, which I got on Friday, and that moved to progress, which I got on Friday as well. Now, statistically, that will happen occasionally when when you'll get the same, exactly the same hexagram with exactly the same moving line, but it's unusual. Statistically, it should happen, not much more than once a year. Anyway, this is the time it's decided to happen. So, what does that mean? I think this means that this weekend is very much a continuation of Friday, whatever was happening on Friday. So we should really mean Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're having the same kind of challenges. So, okay, so if we look at this reading, first 51, shock. I see this as telling us about Saturday. So Saturday is about things happening which we perhaps weren't fully expecting. Things just happening without being planned. It just happens, and we have this symbolism here of thunder. The top three line, bottom three lines are the same. It's kind of thunder over thunder, so it's a thunderbolt. And so we've made some plans, then we have to reconsider our plans, and we've got two moving lines. We've got the top line moves and the bottom line moves, like we had on Friday. So with the bottom line moving, that does indicate, as I said for Friday, that indicates a shock which, our first impression is that it's really bad news. What are we going to do? How are we going to deal with it? That's our first. That's how we deal with it in the first instance. We think it's bad news, but what seems to be bad news is not actually bad news. If once we start to understand what's going on, what this means, we'll realize that actually what seemed to be bad news is actually good news. Maybe there's a sudden change of plan, and at first we don't like this change of plan. But then when we consider what that means, we're thinking, oh yeah, that worked out really well. So don't be too worried about that first shock, someone changing their mind or something happening that you really weren't expecting. That's okay. And then we have the top line moves. There is still a certain sense of shock and surprise there, but it's not a big deal. We will be able to get over it. It's not so. It sounds bad, shock, but it's not the kind of shock that is going to completely destroy us. Indeed, as I said on Friday, that the top line shock is it's an interesting shock because it is something bad, but it's something bad that affects other people. I must emphasize it's other people that we're not closely connected with. So we might see someone else have a disaster, but it's not us. I suppose we have to decide what we need to do about it. We might be relieved, but we might also be considering, well, can we help someone? So perhaps it's a situation where someone else has had a shock or a disaster, and perhaps we're in a position where we have to help out. Anyway, this hexagram shock, it does move, and I think this relates more to Sunday. This 51 shock, I would have said, is more about Saturday, and the progress is more about Sunday. And this in a way kind of contradicts what I was talking about with the astrology. So when I was looking at the astrology, I was I was pretty negative about Sunday and pretty positive about Saturday, but the I Ching is kind of suggesting that it's the other way round. It's suggesting that there is something to be said for Sunday, because Sunday is about progress. We can make progress in our lives, and maybe it's telling us, remember the moon is in Virgo on Sunday, and the moon is in Virgo, and it's making these two aspects. It's making opposition to Saturn, which is difficult, but it is making a trine to Jupiter, particularly towards the end of the day. So we need to kind of focus on that trine to Jupiter. We mustn't put ourselves in a position where that opposition to Saturn can work. So maybe we need to be careful we can make progress if we're careful where we go. We need to be in places where we can do stuff that is constructive. We need to be in places where we can perhaps do some hard work. And maybe this gravitates against mindless enjoyment. Mindless enjoyment on Sunday is not going to lead to progress, because I'm trying to sort of bring the astrology and I Ching together. If we have a very disciplined New Year's Eve, where we're almost quite puritanical, then I think we can start tuning into the progress aspect. Maybe while other people are enjoying ourselves, we can take a step back and do what is necessary. And by doing that, we will be recognized and we'll be able to prepare very nicely for the beginning of 2024. And, progress does talk about audiences with the prince or something, audiences with a powerful person 3 times. So that suggests that we can impress someone. Perhaps what we do on Sunday can lead to, I don't know, some kind of interview or a meeting with someone important, that kind of thing. Okay. So if you are going to a party where there's going to be an important if you're invited to a party on Sunday where there are going to be important people who you need to meet, then sure, you better go, but you can make progress. But so you have to judge the situation. But yeah, it's interesting, the fact that this I Ching is repeating what's happening on Friday. So consider what happened on Friday, and consider the possibility that it kind of might repeat itself over the weekend. So I know I was down about Sunday with the astrology, but the I Ching actually says that Sunday can actually be very useful. Okay, that's the I Ching, and I want to finish by quickly looking at the main themes for January 2024. So let's go back to the astrology. So what's going on? Well, I suppose the year starts off with Jupiter going stationary. That is a major theme for January. So on December the 31st, London time, 2:40 a.m., Jupiter goes stationary direct. It's been going backwards for a long time. Now it starts going forward. That means that ideas, aspirations that have been put on hold can start actually moving. So for many of us, there's going to be a great sense of optimism in January. This is made better by the fact that if you look at Jupiter, you can see that it's moving towards a sextile of Saturn. Now, a sextile between Jupiter and Saturn doesn't actually become exact, because what's happening is Jupiter is at a standstill, so Saturn starts getting closer and closer to the sextile of Jupiter, but then through January, Jupiter starts to pick up speed and the sextile never actually comes into place. But Jupiter and Saturn are the two chronocrators, the two rulers of time. And so when they're in sextile aspect, that often indicates that there's a sense of balance in society. It can relate to the business cycle, that things are okay, things are working well, there are no shocks to the system. So that Jupiter sextile Saturn may indicate a certain amount of stability in January. And matters are helped by the fact that on January the 2nd, Mercury's been going retrograde for 3 weeks. On January the 2nd, Mercury goes stationary direct. So straight away, things start to get better in a communication sense. Things that have been delayed, confused, start to clear up, and we can, things in some respects can get back to normal. And perhaps if we've had plans that we've had on hold, with Mercury going direct, we can get going with them again. Particularly as Mercury goes direct at the same time, almost within a couple of days of Jupiter going direct. Now, as far as the next big thing is, there is a new moon. There's a new moon on January the 11th. So the first new moon in January is on January the 11th. Here it is. I've set this for London. It's probably quite important when you set it for London, because the new moon is on the midheaven in London. I don't know to what extent that relates to the political situation in London. I think people are saying that the Tories are finished. I don't know when there's going to be an election. Obviously, there's not going to be an election next month because it would have had to have been announced beforehand. But that is something we have to consider. But this new moon is trine Uranus. So the January 11th new moon is exciting. It can bring new things down here into manifestation. It can manifest new things. Maybe people are going to be quite rebellious. I mean, I know it's a trine, and a trine is supposed to be a fortunate aspect, but still, new moon trine Uranus. We could see. I know people have been protesting a lot recently all over the world, and not just about Palestine, but maybe the new moon trine Jupiter, trine Uranus is going to intensify that in quite a big way. Then the big. I mean, I know we've talked about Jupiter going direct as being potentially quite a big thing. Additionally, we've got Pluto going into Aquarius. So Pluto goes into Aquarius on the 20th, 21st, depending on where you are. So on the 20th of January, we've got Sun goes into Aquarius. Then straight away, we have got Pluto going into Aquarius. Some of us might feel this more than others, but we know about the general principle of Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is about government control. I know there's a lot of optimism about Aquarius, dawning of the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is a forward-thinking sign. No, Aquarius is a sign of fascism. Just remember that. It's about totalitarianism. Aquarius is a sign that's ruled by Saturn. It's the positive aspect of Saturn. You know, it's not just about Saturn trying to keep the status quo. It's about Saturn trying to force through its own agenda. You know, when you hear about central bank digital currencies, people trying to watch what we're doing, the police state, all of this stuff that we're afraid of with technology, because Aquarius is a sign connected with technology, and so it's about the government using technology to try and control our lives. That's one aspect of it, and something like the central bank digital currency, where you can monitor people's spending, that kind of thing. So look out, see what's going on as Pluto goes into Aquarius. I'm not saying we're going to see any dramatic change. Remember, Pluto stays in Aquarius for a very long time. You know, well over 10 years. When does it go? I forget when it goes into Pisces. I should know when it goes into Pisces, but you know, it's well over 10 years, 15 years. You know, it's a long time. Although actually Pluto does go back into Capricorn one more time. I think it's at the end of the year. So Pluto's not quite finished with Capricorn. There is one last small return to Capricorn, but look at what's going on at the end of January. We might see that some further evidence of government control. But there are two sides to the coin. People are going to be rebellious, and it's not just because of a new moon on January the 11th. People are not going to take kindly to the government trying to control our lives, and so there's going to be something of a conflict there. So that's certainly something to consider. You know, some people are going to be affected more than others by Pluto going into Aquarius. For example, our friend Vladimir Zelensky, for example, I know it seems I'm obsessed with him, but he's got an interesting chart. So Vladimir Zelensky, it's Zelensky's birthday on this month, so he is coming up to how old is he going to be? He's going to be 46. So yeah, happy birthday Vladimir Zelensky for next month. Will it be a happy birthday? I don't know. You can see he's got his Mars at 015 Leo, and at the end of January he will have Pluto opposition his Mars. So that could be real power struggle there. He's already actually in a power struggle, but that power struggle is going to get even more intense. So yeah, watch out for Pluto in Aquarius. Of course, Sun going into Aquarius. As just before the Sun goes into Aquarius, there is a Sun conjunct Pluto. So that's something to look forward to on around the 20th of January. Then on the 25th of January, we have got a full moon. That's a full moon, January the 25th, sort of the last week of January. There's our full moon, moon opposition Sun. There's our Pluto. Pluto's now in Aquarius. This full moon is square Jupiter. This could actually be quite an important full moon at the end of January. Jupiter is sort of the planet of release. Something has to manifest. Full moons are about release, so something is going to become very apparent with this full moon on January the 25th. I think it's going to be an important full moon. Look at London. This is set for London. You see that midheaven is at 511 Taurus. It's right on the full moon. So I think by the end of January, I know the government in Britain is already got problems, but I think by the end of January it could be pretty bad. I think something has to give in the UK, possibly end of January as we move into February. One point about this full moon, you will notice that this full moon being at 5:15 5:15 Leo Aquarius. Let's go back to Zelensky's chart. He's got a Sun-Venus conjunction. His Sun is at 5:7 Aquarius. His Venus is at 5:53 Aquarius. So this full moon exactly hits Zelensky's Sun-Venus conjunction at a time when he's got Pluto opposition Mars. So I don't know. I think I know things are bad for him anyway, but I think things are going to get really bad for him. I think it's looking very, very difficult. So that's about it. End of January, Uranus goes stationary direct. So we're going to see. We're going to start to see the real nature of the revolutionary forces that have perhaps been building up over 2023. Okay, but anyway, that's all I'm going to say for January 2020, about January 2024. I hope you found it useful. Sorry, I was a bit sort of vague and chaotic about January 2024, but over the next few weeks, I'll be going into greater detail. That was very much an overview, and I'll be going into greater detail over the next few weeks. So thank you for listening. I hope you found that video useful. If you did find it useful, then feel free to like the video. If you're not subscribed, then of course I would be grateful if you were to subscribe. And if you want to buy me a coffee, there is a link in the description. Anyway, thanks again for listening, and I will talk to you again very soon.